Great, thank you. Thank you, Megha. And, thank you to Purvi and the team at Catalyst for inviting us, getting us over for this workshop. And project management is something that is, we use in our daily lives. And especially if you're using it as far as work, it does increase efficiency. It is a process that is going to be helpful. And the interesting thing is that we've been doing this with middle school kids, high school kids, and they find it interesting. They find it's a process that makes organizing and conducting projects so much more efficient, so much more easier, and it's easier to plan as well. I'll just start off with a little bit about myself and then hand it over to Nikhil. I am Executive Director at tGELF JA India. We are a not-for-profit headquartered in Gurgaon, and we work in the space of youth empowerment, skilling, and leadership for young people, teachers, and students from K to 12 and university across the country. Recently, we had some of the Catalyst students part of our financial literacy program that we'd conducted in Mumbai with another partner of ours. So that's the space that we are in. Nikhil is a certified project management, PMP certified person and a project manager himself. Nikhil, if I can just pass it over to you to introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I've pretty much been doing project management, program management, and I didn't do a lot of other things in my career. So around 19 and a half years of experience, and I've only done project management, program management. So I kind of know this, and that's the only thing I know well. So I've worked for a lot of companies like GE, and we've supported Universal Studios, AT&T, Providence. We've also supported GE Aviation, GE Healthcare. So been through a lot of Fortune 100 companies, and always been doing project management, program management. Right now, I'm a senior manager for program management at Providence. So I'm one of the co-leaders there, focusing on program management. We have a team of program managers and project managers who drive huge programs, multi-billion programs to impact healthcare at Providence. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
Great, fantastic. So with that, let's, I think, get started. If I can just do a quick check with the participants who are gathered here as to your knowledge or information on project management, that will kind of give both Nikhil and I a sense. Have you all used it? What do you all know about it? Or what do you think it means? Just as a quick, dip test with everyone on the call. And no answers are wrong answers. So whatever you say will be correct. Anyone heard of project management? Let's take it one step at a time. Anyone knows, what do you think project management means, just by the words?
Prerna, we can't hear you.
For me personally, project management can be as small as a project for an event or the end-to-end execution of a major campaign that we run. So every project is still a project for us, how big or small it is. So yeah, that's how I right from planning it to the deadlines to reviewing it at every stage. The entire process comes under project management for us.
Absolutely, Prerna, you hit the nail on the head. It doesn't matter whether it's small or big. Planning your child's birthday party is also a project, to whatever programs that you all are running, or a project that has been given to you. It could be building the next World Trade Center in India. It could be a bridge that is being constructed or any other technical projects that you have, depending on the company and the space that you are working in. And we are dealing with projects every day. Every day of our lives, there is some project or the other, that we are working on and dealing with. Okay, one other quick trivia question before we launch into the actual processes of project management. So is brushing your teeth a project? We do it daily. Sometimes twice a day, sometimes even thrice. So Prerna,
It can't be a project. It can be sort of like a task that meets maybe the mandatory thing.
okay, lovely, absolutely, Rajashri and Nikhil. I think we have a very bright and an aware audience.
Yeah.
Exactly. So repetitive tasks, are definitely not projects. They could be steps to a particular project. The project here could be health of your teeth or oral care. And for that, there are different steps that you need to take, and brushing, will be a part of it. So repetitive tasks are definitely not a project. And a project could be small or big, but it will, have different aspects that are engaged with it. All right. So, Nikhil, would you like me to share the deck, or are
No,
you
I got it.
comfortable doing it?
I got it. So I won't have to keep bothering you.
Okay, great. So while Nikhil is pulling up the deck, and we actually take you into the entire science and management of, project management, let's have one more quick question. So is project management, or is a project an endless task?
No projects have deadlines.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. So project will, and we define project by saying that the project will have a beginning and an end. And different projects, timeline and end line will be different, but every project has to have a beginning and then have an end with it. Okay. So with that, Nikhil, I'm passing it over to you. And let me know when I can jump in, and I'll jump right in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Please keep jumping in, because I know you bring a lot of experience as well from the last 1 year I've been working with you. So please, I think you have amazing examples, so you should definitely keep jumping in. So I like the question that you asked before I go ahead. It's funny because I keep training people in Agile. So I'm certified as a trainer for Agile as well. So I actually certify people to be Scrum Masters, and we talk about projects and stuff at Providence. So the one analogy that we use, and it's very similar to what you all have been talking about, and we have a picture, and I don't have it today, but a project is just like a human life. You grow up, you get older, and unfortunately you pass away, and there's always a start and an end. If there's no start and an end, we call it more operational or activities that you keep doing over and over again, but it's not a project. So yeah, that's the same analogy that we always talk about, that it's projects is like life. So yeah, but I'm not. So today is almost like a crash course. I want to kind of help you understand some terminologies. I know there's a science to it as well. So we get certified. There are tools that we use. There are effective ways that we use on how to be good project managers, good program managers. So there's always a way to the madness. And the best thing I always tell people, like, who come and apply to be project managers on my team. So if you like to solve problems, you'll make the best project manager, because I've never seen a project manager just come and chill, because a project manager is always there to solve problems. So if you like puzzles, you like solving problems, coming out of the mess, oh my God, that's the perfect position for you, being a project manager. So these are some of the things we'll talk about, but then I wanted to, let me minimize, yeah. So project management, obviously it's derived from PMI, and PMP is one of the certifications. but there's a lot of phases, and these I'm gonna go through each one of these bubbles as we go through the slide. We're gonna talk about integration, scope, cost, communication, quality of the project. How do you manage the schedule? How do you manage a risk, stakeholder management, resources, procurement, and these? If you don't hit the mark in all of these, you'll always end up with a project that's going to take longer, or it's going to end up having problems and stuff like that. So also as a project manager, it's very important for you to foresee things in the sense that, oh my God, you know what? I think there's going to be a problem in any of these phases. Let me react, not be reactive, but be more proactive and try to figure out stuff before it actually happens. So that's another really good quality of a project manager that we'll talk about today. I wanted to put this number out there. I know Gina told me, some of you all are interested in project management, and project management is a copy paste. So same like me, I've gone from engineering to, I've built a theme park supporting Universal Studios, worked on planes with GE, worked in healthcare, worked on data centers. So completely different things, but the base of it is project management. So that never changes, but then you add different flavors. So project management is also something that was not organized back in the day, and now it's very, very organized. You have PMI, PMP, you have Prince 2, which is from Europe. PMI is more US based, and there's a lot of project management, program management positions that are opening up. If you ever go on Naukri or LinkedIn, you'll see so many jobs because we don't have that many certified and trained people. What happens is with a lot of people, it's like, oh, you know what? I worked on a project, so I'm a project manager. It's really not that. You have to go through the cycles and really become a project manager. So if any of y'all, and we also like at Providence, we have doctors who have done PMPs, and they're using that in driving hospitals. They're using that to drive clinics. So it's a great certification. It's a great tool. It's a great knowledge. And like Dino said, you could use it for your personal life. You can use it anywhere. If you ever want more information, you can hit up Dino or myself. We can provide you more information. These are some of the certifications, and I can share this sheet with you if you want. If you're ever interested, if you're interested in PMI, you have, the whole PMP, PFMP, PGMP, and they go higher and higher. So PMP is more for project managers. Then you have PGMP, which is for program managers. PFMP, that's for portfolio managers. And I'll go more into what's the difference between them. We also have ITIL. We have Six Sigma. Six Sigma is more for factories and production and stuff like that. And then Agile is something which is blowing up a lot. A lot of the companies are moving to Agile. So you're getting positions called Scrum Masters, Certified Scrum Masters, and you have different certifications and different levels. Do you want to be a product owner? Do you want to be a product manager? Or do you want to be a program manager? So these are some of the certifications. And I've put it in an order with the lowest being on the top, and then you work it up. The ones on the red, the reason I've highlighted them is because I have all of these certifications, one in each one of them. And that's how I've grown as well. So certifications are cool things to have, and they really help grow your knowledge. So trying to kind of dumb it down to the lowest level. And the other thing is, please keep stopping me, because I can keep talking for hours. So keep stopping me and asking me that, you know what, this doesn't make sense. Can you please help us understand that? So if you want me to, go more into it, let me know and I'll do it. So these are the 4 cruts of project management. You have time, you have quality, scope, and cost. Any idea? I just want to engage with y'all. Why do you think these 4 talk to each other? And the reason is actually these 3 talk to each other, and based on how these 3 talk to each other, quality of a project is always impacted. So that always happens. So any idea why you think these 3 are related? Anybody? I don't know if I'm still sharing.
You always want to make sure that the project is completed within time, within cost, and that the scope, whatever is been decided between your customer and maybe your office or organization is adhered to.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's awesome. Are you guys able to see my screen, by the way? Because I kind of did something goofy. I use Teams, Microsoft Teams. I never use Zoom, so I'm still learning this tool.
Your
Yes.
screen is
Your
visible.
screen. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I'll just make it as easy as possible. So scope is something that we define that like, hey, we want to build a car. The car needs to have 4 wheels, it needs to have 4 doors, a windshield, and an engine. That's the scope of the project. We define what we want to build in this car, and that's the scope. Now, if I say I want to build a car with 4 wheels and 4 this and that, and then you know what? I end up giving you an auto rickshaw, you're not going to be happy. So that's what scope is about. Whenever we start a project, we scope out that, you know what do we need to do? What do we need to build? What's the project? Who are the people who are going to be in the project? Who's going to do what? So we kind of define all these things. We make charters. I'm going to show you some of that later on. Time. Now, if we say about a car, if I tell the customer, I'm going to give you the car in December, but you come to the showroom in December and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I forgot to add the fourth tire. So you may want to come back 2 months later because I never made the fourth tire. So you're going to be pretty irate with me. So time is something also that needs to be defined, and in which works in parallel with scope. And last but not least is cost. Now, if I tell you that, you know what, I need 10,000 rupees or $10,000 to build this really fancy car, but then I tell you 3 months into it that, you know what, yeah, it's going to cost you 15 now. And then when you come to pick up the car, it's going to cost you 20,000. So again, it's not going to be a good conversation because we estimated our cost to be something and it kept changing. Now, why are these three things related and how does quality get affected in the middle? So this is called the triangle, the triple constraint triangle. If I say, you know what, I'm going to build a car with 4 wheels, but for some goofy reason, I decide to build a truck. Now, this truck is going to take more time, right, than building a car. So my time is going to go for a toss. Or I say, you know what, I'm going to build this car for $10,000, but I ran out of money. So when I run out of money, the scope and time get affected. And in each one of them, it always comes back to the quality. I either messed up the time, I messed up the scope because I didn't know what I was trying to build, or maybe I said that I'm going to use $10,000, but I ended up spending $20,000. So these three things are very, very important. Questions to ask yourself, questions to ask the stakeholders, and try to figure out what's the scope of my project? How much time is it going to take? And what's the cost? Because you're never going to do a project for free, right? So your time is money and everything else is money and money, money, money. And everything comes back to quality. So are you going to deliver a good quality product based on time, scope, and cost? So yeah, this is the triple constraint triangle. This is kind of to get you started to think in the project management way.
Nikhil, I have one question. Yeah. So you said the cost may be affect on the quality, but as you are already spent like maybe 20,000, but I don't think the quality get affected at that time. Definitely the time and what are the cost was decided, it's a higher, but how it's affecting on a quality then?
Yeah, so everything gets affected. So quality doesn't just mean, when we talk about quality, quality just doesn't mean that, you know what, this car has to be shiny. Quality also means it's, you know what, I digressed delivering the project. The quality got affected. I digress in giving you a half-finished car, or if it costed more, I kind of said, you know what, I'm going to cut some corners so that I can give you something with less. So when you start spending more, you start cutting corners in projects. And that's in any operational anything. You start cutting corners to make up for the cost. So quality is not just product quality, Quality is customer service, customer satisfaction, the time, the interaction, the amount of time of the people working on the project. The time of the people is also quality because you could have been doing something else rather than doing that. Cost, because you spent more money here. So now the next project you do, you have a big budget of 100,000 for the year. Now you pulled 20,000 from the budget, but you were only supposed to spend 10,000 budget, right? So it's a vicious cycle. Your next project and your next project is going to get affected. The quality there may get affected. The time there may get affected, scope. So there's a chain reaction. We make something called Gantt charts in project management, which show, hey, if this project takes longer to deliver, the next step gets affected. If more money goes here, the money for the next project goes. So the way we call projects, and I was going to show you that on the next slide. Let me show you that. So you've heard of project management. Have you heard of portfolio management and program management? Just to give you like a dumbed down version again, because I'm assuming, nobody's a pro here and we are trying to all learn about project management. Imagine that you're building a township, right, of villas. One house, one villa is one project. The whole street of, say, maybe 20 houses is a program. I built 20 villas on this road, and each villa is a project. And this whole street is a program which consists of 20 projects, with each villa as a project. And then what's portfolio management? You have maybe 10 roads on this, this township. So you have a project of one villa, program of 20 villas on the road, and then 10 roads, and that's the portfolio. So you normally have roles as project managers, program managers, portfolio managers. A project manager would only focus on one project. A program manager would usually have 4 to 5 or more, depending whatever it is, of say project managers working on a single project and which are rolling up to the program. And then same, a portfolio manager may have multiple program managers within projects to think. Now, the big thing to look at, a project, program, and portfolio are all one within the other. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm building some villas in Chennai, and that's some villas in Bangalore, and they're all together and they're all a portfolio. So if maybe it's a different builder. So you always want a project to support a program to support a portfolio. And the portfolio usually comes from like CXOs, very, very high level. So that is like business changing, where it impacts a whole company, impacts a whole organization. It's like huge stuff at very high level. And then you break it down to programs and projects. So it can go both ways. It can go top, bottom, or bottom up. So I just wanted to give you the difference between portfolio, project, and program management. So when you hear about these things, you understand what they mean. Now, there's two things that are happening in the world of project management, program management. And there's actually a third one too, which is hybrid. The older way or a different way of doing things was waterfall. Waterfall was, hey, I initiate a project, and then I go to the next step, which is planning. Then I go and do execution of this project. And once I do the execution of the project, I monitor. What is monitor? So execution is when you deliver the project, right? Why do you think there's monitor? The reason is you just don't deliver a project and walk away. You monitor the project, like some user testing or something, saying that, what we intended to deliver to the stakeholder or the customer or anything else, it's actually being valued, or it's being delivered and it's being used how we thought that we wanted to use it as. So monitoring is very, very important. Monitoring is a phase in the waterfall method that, I figured out that we made some poor execution decisions. You figure it out, and then you go from monitor, and then you go back again and say, let me take this to the planning, to the drawing board, and do some more planning, and then again execute, and again monitor, and again thing. So this is kind of, the way we do waterfall method. Agile is a very, when I say new, obviously it's like 20 years old, but again, in the old schematics of project management, it's a new thing. And a lot of companies are starting to adapt it. In Agile, so if you notice, there's no close. I know, and I said that there's a start and end to projects, and that's usually in waterfall. Agile is something where they use a different methodology that you plan, you do, you check, and you adjust. And then you just keep putting projects within this circle. And you keep going through this circle in sprints. Sprints happen every 1 week or 2 weeks, and then you keep delivering. So it's like a non-stop delivery cycle that goes on and on and on. But when a project gets completed, it comes out of this circle and it gets delivered, and a new project gets dumped in this circle. A lot of companies are not 100% agile. A lot of companies are hybrid. The reason I say hybrid is they kind of use some stages of waterfall and some stages of agile. I'll give you a good example, and you'll have to give me an answer. Has everybody been or heard of Subway? Have you been to Subway? Has anybody been to Subway here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a very goofy example, and hopefully that makes sense. When you go to Subway, the first thing you go there and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to initiate my project. The project is your sub. And you're going to look at the menu and plan that, you know what? I want a non-veg or a veg, or what kind of sandwich I want. Then we get into the execution phase. So normally when you start building a sub, you have to always pick, and I'm not saying the salad, I'm saying just a good old school sub with the bread. I want a 6-inch, but you say that I want a bread, right? The first thing they normally do is, what bread do you want? And they slap it on there and they cut it. So that's waterfall. You cannot skip the bread and just say, here's my hand, drop the damn salads on my hand, right? You have to pick the bread first. The second step is where you go into agile rather than waterfall. Why do I say agile? They don't stop you from saying, you have to put onions first, and then you have to put the tomatoes. And oh, you know what? I want green peppers. Oh no, you're not allowed to get green peppers after tomatoes because you have to put it before the onions. That never happens, right? You can go, hey, I want to put this, I want to put this, and then you're playing around with the greens and the vegetables that you want, or the meats or the paneer or whatever, and you make the whole sandwich, right? So that's the agile, and I'm talking about hybrid. So that's the agile, which is kind of injected within the phase of the waterfall, where the first step is waterfall, you have to pick the bread, but then you're kind of moving around with different salads and different vegetables. And then in terms of closing, you have to close it and then get out of it, because they close it, they toast it, and they give it to you. So again, I know it sounds really funny, but Subway, you ordering Subway is a hybrid way of delivering a project, and the project is your Subway. So your little sub. So yeah, you have any questions on waterfall, agile, hybrid, project management, program management, portfolio? Again, this is very high level. I can spend like 2 hours just on this and 10, 20 other slides, which I won't. So today's like a crash course, and I'm trying to keep it as a crash course. So if you guys are clear on this, then I'll move on to the other stuff.
Yeah, Nikhil, I have a doubt regarding waterfall.
Yes.
So, like you said, like a lot of organizations are now going in the hybrid mode where they also deploy waterfall strategy as well as the agile part.
Yeah.
For example, which is something that's very common, is like once the project is near closure, you realize that, probably this angle we have not considered and we need to do it. So, wouldn't that be like in waterfall, would the cycle start again from the initiation, planning, execution, and the timeline basis on the waterfall would increase substantially, right?
Yeah. So there's different projects. Some projects you can solve in an agile manner. Some projects are stuck in waterfall. I'll tell you some examples. Have you heard of data centers or factories or whatever? You deliver the whole project, and maybe You wanted to buy a big generator. I'm just going to give you, like, I'm going to dumb it down as much as I can. A generator for a big building that we were building. We figured that this building would require only one generator, but it's not able to sustain the power. So we need two now. So you can't solve it in Agile. You'll have to go back to the initiate phase, procure it, install it, do the planning, figure it out, all of that. Agile could work in like software develop. Agile works very, 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 very well in software development, building new products, stuff like that. Why does Agile work really well there? Is you're constantly breaking and fixing things, and you're constantly adapting. What if the customer changes what they want? So you are constantly testing what you build. So it's not like, you know what, I'm going to do a whole project. And at the very end of the project, I'm going to do my testing and my monitoring. And that's when I'm going to figure out, oh my God, I messed up. But in Agile, you're like, oh my God, I needed this generator, but the devices I'm putting in is not able to sustain the power. So let me start trying to figure out on how to get a second generator before I go through that. And you try to figure that out before you come to the monitoring phase. And that's why I say hybrid, because if you notice, a lot of companies shy away from saying we're 100% agile, because some always use a mixed bag of waterfall and agile. So like I said, software development, non-touchy things, hardware procurement is more waterfall. Again, like, you know, if you're building a car at a thing, an operation thing, you want to get the chassis of the car first. If you mess up the chassis, the doors are not going to make sense. But if you're building a CD thing or whatever, not CD, a CD is gone, right? But a touchscreen for your car stereo system, and you figured out, oh my God, I didn't put Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, or I only put Android Auto. Oh, let me go ahead and push this API or this configuration into this, and we can software update this system to make the changes. Have you guys noticed, if you have Windows, right? You're getting all these updates constantly. They're fixing things, they're adapting to things. They don't say that, hey, you know what? Your computer now is garbage, send it back to us and we'll fix it, right? So that's why I said it kind of, it's not good to get very hell-bent into agile or very hell-bent into waterfall. It's kind of plug and play solutions. I've also heard people say, oh, you know what, waterfall is old school and we're going to do the agile way. But again, there is no good way or bad way. It's up to the project manager to figure out that, will I be able to use waterfall here? Will I be able to use agile here? Will I be able to do a hybrid model? So these are plug and play solutions for you to figure out on how you best want to use it. And there is no cookie cutter solution that you can just plug in and it solves the problem. So yeah, I'm sorry, a long answer to your short question.
Just chiming in with that, Nikhil, it'll also depend on the kind of project that you're working on.
Yeah.
So
100%.
your kind of project that you have will dictate what are the steps and what are the operations that you're going to put into that particular project. Will it be waterfall? Will it be agile, or like Subway? Will it have to be a hybrid mode?
There's
That is
one
what-
more angle to it, which I feel, I think it also depends on the number of stakeholders you have in the project. Like, how many departments do you need to coordinate with? What is the process that, probably they implement? For example, in procurement, it might be more of a waterfall because there are a lot of approvals and costs which are involved in. But in agile, because you're close knitted, and probably a little bit of an edit may not incur a larger cost to the company or to the project or something like that. So that is also an angle to it.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So stakeholder management is something we'll talk about a little bit down the road. And yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. And a project manager, program manager, portfolio manager, whatever you thrive to be, you have to be a multitasker because there's a lot of moving parts. If you say, I'm only going to do this, it's not going to work out. And projects constantly fail. If you're expecting to have a glorious project that I did a fantastic job planning. How the hell did it go wrong? Yeah, I mean, every project of mine probably has failed, and we learn from them. We learn from these experiences that, you know what, this happened in this project, let's plan better in this project. So don't go with the mindset that maybe I did a fantastic job planning. Why did this all happen? It's going to happen. There's a lot of moving parts that you cannot control. Like you rightfully said, procurement or waterfall or stakeholders. And then how do you bring everything together? And the best way to put it, you're the glue. You're the glue that brings it all together. And the one bad thing, so when a project doesn't go well, project manager or program manager, whatever, usually doesn't say, you know what, it's the procurement team's fault or it's this fault. The buck ends with the project manager. You take responsibility for the team, for the process. The buck always has to end with the project manager or the program manager. So that's a mindset that you need to have to get into the game. Oh, come on. Sorry, I'm trying. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to show you this really cool video. I hope, does audio come through if I play a video here?
Play it and then see, Nikhil. Otherwise, you'll have to share audio if we can't hear it.
Yeah. Share out. Okay.
Just play it first and let's see if we can hear it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Are you able to hear it?
No. So if you just check on the top of your screen, you should have a button called View Options.
Okay.
Or wait, maybe it's with your audio. You know where the microphone icon is at the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's where you need to just click on that arrow next to the microphone.
Yeah, sorry, like I said, Zoom, for some reason in all the companies I work for, nobody's used Zoom, so I'm still kind of a little behind the curve on this.
No, I just feel the Zoom is just so much more versatile than
It
Teams.
is.
It
I think I've just never got the opportunity to use it, so I should learn.
Nikhil, while sharing the screen, there's a checkbox. There's a checkbox called Share Sound. You can click on that. You can stop sharing and start sharing again.
Okay.
There's a checkbox called Share Sound.
Share sound. Okay. Let me share sound. Oh, I wanted to show you guys this video. Maybe Dino, could you share this video because you have the
Okay.
deck? Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna mess this up. I have no clue what's going
Let
on.
me just try this out. Give me 10 seconds.
Yeah, and I'm sorry because
No.
what's going on.
No worries at all.
Oh, I found it.
Oh, you did?
Oh my
Okay.
God, yeah.
Sure.
I learned something new.
Okay.
I love it. It's good. Okay.
There you go.
Cool. I don't know if you could relate to it. I love this video because, and I stopped right here. It's agile, it's project management. I know geese do it, but I think other birds, I don't know if there's geese in India. But there's birds, right? And if you always see birds kind of go in this way, and then when they want to change a direction, so if you're moving in a direction to north, the geese or the bird in the front is the leader. And then if you want to pivot to south, it's not that the bird just comes from here and becomes a leader. So everybody in the team is kind of having a leadership mentality of how to be aligned to the same goal of the project or the same goal of the company or whatever. There is no blaming. There is everybody working well together. And you know, if a flock of birds can do it, I'm pretty sure that we can do it in a project. So just something about teamwork and project management and agile I wanted to share with you all. Okay, so this is again, just I'm going to quickly go through it. These are the characteristics that you should have as a project manager. I'm just going to very quickly go through it. I for details. You have to find things that somebody else may not even kind of figure it out, right? You're constantly monitoring, you're constantly understanding, you're constantly adapting, changing. So you always want to have a good eye for detail so nothing slips through you. You're that barrier before the project gets completed or it goes to the customer or you tell the stakeholders all the quality, all the time, all the cost. You're that one barrier that everything goes through. So it's very, very important for you to have eyes for detail. The gift for jab, you have to communicate really, really well. What I have always seen as project managers, you cannot be an introvert. Sorry to kill it. If you're an introvert, you're probably not going to work out well as a project manager because project managers have to be very vocal. They have to be very decisive. They have to try to get what they want. They have to be maybe aggressive at times. They have to do what's best for the project or the company. So you have to keep communicating well. Also, a lot of what I've seen in my entire career, project managers, program managers are constantly presenting to CXOs, CTOs, VPs. So you have to be good at presentation as well. Looks over their shoulders because something called risk analysis in project. You as a no project manager is going to walk into a project and say, you know what, there is no risk. There's always you always have to plan for risk. It's called RAID. We'll go into the RAID. It's a template on how you do risk planning, but you're always planning for risk. Nerves for steel because you don't want to. If something goes wrong, you're that leader that everybody's going to look to who's going to get you out of the mushy ground level and get everything fixed. So everybody's going to look to you to be that person. So if you break down, the confidence of people around you is also going to break. So you have to have nerves of steel, elbow grease, because some project managers or program managers feel that, you know what, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to supervise everything. You have to be ready to pull up your sleeves and say, you know what, I'm going to come and sit with you today and we're going to try to fix this on the ground level, or I'm going to go and do this. So you have to be like jack of all trades, and you should be able to jump in anywhere where somebody needs help in the project and keep moving things ahead. Gut feeling, project managers are decision makers. So like I said, the buck stops with you because you always take the decision. Should I procure 2 generators? Should I procure 1 generator? Should I spend $10,000? Do I need 3 months to deliver this? Do I need 4 months? What do I tell the stakeholder? Is this stakeholder talking to the other stakeholder? So you want to have those gut instincts and feelings because you're always taking decisions, right? Always, like I said, every project is going to have obstacles. I remember I told you in the starting, if you like to solve problems, project management is for you because you're constantly getting over roadblocks. You're solving problems so that the project or the program keeps moving ahead. You want to have your head on straight, ear to the ground, similar thing. Always knows what's going on in different teams. You may have different teams and different people supporting one project. It's not just maybe one person and you, right? It could be multiple things happening. Like we said about the car, there's one team that's getting the tires together. One is the chassis, one's the engine. At the end, there's probably one team that puts everything together. and then you are in the middle of all of it. Heart of gold, good natured. You want to be approachable. What do I mean? That if somebody has messed up, if there's things going wrong, they should not put it under the carpet. They should be confident enough to bring it to you and say, you know what? I think we messed up here. I need your help. That's what you need. So be a hands-on leader and always on your toes. Like we said, have a heads up. So again, these are some of the soft skills more than technical skills that you need to be a really proactive, reactive project manager, program manager, which will really help you. So yeah, again, cannot be an introvert if you want to be a project manager. So yeah. I won't go too much into this, but Scrum Master to Project Manager, I just want to quickly flash this and then move on. There's a lot of positions in the market now which say we're hiring a Scrum Master, and there's a lot of positions which say we're hiring a Project Manager, Program Manager. They're not one and the same. So I want to put this out there so you feel that there's a difference. Project manager is someone who's driving a project, decision maker, negotiating, motivating, moving the whole thing, different certifications. You're looking at the whole program. You're balancing stakeholders. You're being a leader and stuff like that. Scrum Master, there's one word that goes with it. And like I said, because I also trained for Scrum Master and Agile, I'm a certified trainer there. It's very, very common to call Scrum Master as a servant leader. I'm going to ask you this question. Has anybody ever heard of what a servant leader or a servant leadership means, and what do you think it means? So I'm not going to move on till you give me an answer. Any idea? Servant leader, servant leadership. What does that even mean? You can just tell me generally. It doesn't have to be regarding project manager, Scrum Master. What does servant leader or servant leadership mean to you?
So Nikhil, in our leadership programs that we do for school students, we are actually doing this with them.
Oh, wow.
As young as 14 and 15-year-olds, so that they understand the different kinds of leadership styles. Okay, so for everyone here, I'm going to give you an example, and maybe that will prompt some answers. Look at or think of Mother Teresa. And now if you can understand servant leadership, don't get misled by the word there.
Yeah.
It's something where a leader empower and uplift their team.
Yes.
Is it something related to showing people what needs to be done and how to do it?
Yes.
The leader who is helping to others to grow by just leading the project.
Very nicely summed up what Megha and Prerna also mentioned. Absolutely right. So it's not about taking the credit and being in the front all the time. It's more about empowering the team. It's about creating leaders of the team that you have. So servant is, let's not get misled. It's more about the service that you do to the team, and how is it that you can empower, give them those capacities that they will then flourish and thrive with. And it's not just about taking credit all the time yourself. So think of Dhoni. When Dhoni used to win the matches, he would never be there when the team picked up the trophy. That's an example. So you're at the back. You're of course leading, but it's about let the light shine on the others, give them the empowerment, build their leadership capacities, push your team up. It's about taking your team with you and taking them up alongside. Nikhil, back to you.
No, thank you for that analogy, because that's going to help me relate servant leadership to Scrum Master. The reason we connect the dots of Scrum Master and servant leadership is, I told you what a program manager does, right? They're solving problems in the front, being this leader, driving problems, the buck stops with them. An agile team normally has 7 to 10 to 12 people in it. It's small teams, and they have different ceremonies and different things that they do. So I won't go into it today, but if you want a whole agile session, I have a whole different deck for it, and I can give you that as well. And I can actually help you get certified as a Scrum Master as well. The course that normally, like Simply Learn and other companies charge. I'm sorry. So yeah, if you're interested to be a Scrum Master, that's a whole different thing. The reason we say servant leadership is the Scrum Master basically just comes and says, you know what? I'm the Scrum Master for this team of 7 or 10 people, and my main sole responsibility is to unblock you, to support you. I am always behind you. You continue delivering and continue doing. In Agile, the team work together. That leadership is not there. Like a program manager in the front. They're all working in sync. The Scrum Master is unblocking them, supporting them, saying, hey, what can I do for you? Not saying, hey, Mr. Joe, you need to do this, and Mr. Frank, you need to do this, and Pooja, you need to do this. It's about what can I do for you? And that's why we say a Scrum Master has to be a servant leader. So again, a reason I'm bringing this up to you, the differentiator is, do you think that you fall on the left category? Do you think you fall on a right category? Two different roles, two different growth paths, two different action items, and two different roles for you. So I just wanted to make it clear that they're not one and the same. So yeah.
Nikhil, I have a question. So how we can define the Scrum Master or Project Manager? Because each part has their own definition, own portfolio sort of. So like being a part of the corporate and when we are going further, so it's like that, how can I decide what I want to be? Like,
Yeah.
or
So a Scrum Master is not, so within an Agile team, an Agile team is not there just for one project. That Agile team, that Scrum Master can be supporting 10 project managers. The project manager, if you're looking from a career perspective to grow, a project manager will become a programmer portfolio, look at big, and normally project managers program and all are more inclined to business. What does business mean? It could be IT, non-IT, it could be construction, manufacturing. How do you deliver a project program portfolio that supports the business? How do you drive something which impacts the thing? Scrum Master is something where you get aligned to a team and you're supporting that team, unblocking them, and that's where your main goal is. And that team can be supporting a project. So you're in the behind supporting a project manager. A project manager may come to you and say, you know what, you're the Scrum Master. This Agile team has a lot of issues. Can you unblock them? So two different things. A Scrum Master, normally, if you want to grow in your career, there's something called Scrum of Scrums. A Scrum of Scrums is you may have 10 teams with Scrum Master in each team. And then when you all are meeting to support a project, you don't want to take 100 people to a meeting. Scrum Master from every team will meet with the Scrum of Scrums, right? Scrum of Scrums in the sense, these 10 Scrum Masters will meet a lead Scrum Master, and that Scrum Master will work with these 10 Scrum Masters who take the work back to their teams. So that's one way that you can progress in your career as a Scrum Master. There's something called Safe Agile. That's another thing. I won't go into it. That is a Scrum Master, which happens at an organization level. So you may have hundreds and thousands of Scrum Masters in your company, and you're doing Safe Agile, which is at enterprise level. Enterprise level is across the corporate, across the company. So that's, again, you have a beautiful path there. But the reason I want to make the differentiator is not because of you'll succeed in both and grow in your careers. But what kind of mindset do you have? Do you want to lead from the front? Do you want to support from the back?
Yeah.
Do you want to be more aligned to supporting teams? Do you want to be more aligned to driving programs, handling cost, handling money, time? So two different paths.
And just to add to that, and Nikhil, correct me if I'm wrong. So as a Scrum Master, you're more of a coach.
Yes.
as a project manager, you're more into the operations and the lead of that particular project, making sure that it's all going as per plan, looking into budgets, looking into scope, looking into time, making sure that nothing is getting goofed up. So there is a leadership role, but there is also the operational part of it. The Scrum Master is not going to look at budgets and blah and blah. He's there to kind of guide as the coach, making sure that you know what you're doing. If the team is running into any challenge, then you'll run to the Scrum Master to say, okay, hey, how do I fix this? So think of it on a technology basis. So let's say there is something happening with the software development. Hey, how do I fix this? You're not going to go to the project manager and say, I don't know how to write this code.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of differentiator there. I don't know, Rajshri, if I've answered the question, but that'll be
means,
fun.
yeah. But just one small thing into that, what I was thinking, like Scrum Master, who will be like maybe on the top level, maybe somewhere. Project manager will be not in that way, because what you are distinguishing that regard, it's my opinion, what I'm thinking right now.
I quite didn't understand the question. What do you mean at the top level?
The Scrum Master had that authority to be at the backstage and to just give the idea or to help an other who are the front hand. But the project manager who will be at the any level.
Yeah, and the one thing that you said, authority. A Scrum Master is usually one of those 10 people in the agile team. A Scrum Master usually has no authority. A program manager is representing the business, representing the technology, and they are usually working with leaders who are saying, you know what, say Mahindra, right? They came up with a new car. Mahindra is not going to go the chief operating officer or the chief product officer, whatever. He's not going to go to the Scrum Master and say, "Can you deliver a brand new car which is going to be a successful car? How much money do you need, Nick? How much money do you need to build this fancy new car? How long is this going to take this car for you to build? Okay, I'm giving you so much time, so much money. This is your budget. Tell me this, is this, go work it out." That discussion from the business is not going to be the Scrum Master. So you may have multiple Scrum Masters supporting a project manager in different teams. Like I said, right? You may have a team that's making, these days they have AI, right, in cars. You may have a team for that with a Scrum Master there. You may have one for efficiency of the engine. So like I said, that's the differentiator. Focused and working. Let me give you the biggest difference. A project manager is a go-between business and technology. What do I mean by that? A project manager, and when I keep saying project manager, I mean even program manager or portfolio manager, okay? It's one and the same. It's just how much scope you have. A project manager will understand the needs of the business. The needs of the business is to get a brand new car, which is going to be an amazing car. How do you convert what the board of directors or the CXO or the CEO wants? How do you convert that into technology? How do you convert that into an operational conversation? Can you go to the factory site and say, hey, you know what, just build me a fancy new car? How do you break it down and help them understand that this is the business requirement? I need your technology or your operational or your functional, it could be any of that. How do you convert business into this? And then second, the factory guy or the technology guy is going to be like, you know what, you want the CXO or the business wants all these fancy things. I can give you 5 things. Now, how do you take those 5 things from the technology or the factory supervisor back to the business, the CXOs or the CEOs, and say, you know what, you want all of this, but in reality, you can have only this. So it's that go-between person who can have a conversation on the business side, but also have a conversation at the very ground level. That's the project manager.
So, Nikhil, is it possible that a Scrum Master can also be a project manager, especially in the case of Scrum of Scrums kind of thing? Because
They have different responsibilities. The Scrum of Scrums is nothing more which is focused on what work is happening in that specific sprint. A sprint could be anywhere from 1 week to 4 weeks. You are, as a Scrum Master, you are a project manager may plan for a project for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. A Scrum Master usually plans for 1 sprint or 2 sprints. Hey, we're going to do this work for the next sprint. What's a sprint? A sprint can be the amount of work that's done 1 week minimum, 4 weeks maximum. And you say that, you know what, in this sprint, I'm going to do this much work to support this project. And then in the next sprint, I'll take this work. But that's the max of your, thought process is 1 to 2 sprints. You as a Scrum Master are not planning for 5 years, 10 years, 1 year for the project. So that's the big difference.
So let me
So,
just quickly add. Sorry, Prerna. I'll just quickly add, and then we'll come back to your question. Look at an organization, in a holistic architectural format, where the top leadership, these could be C-suite, these could be executives or whatever, as leaders of organizations, are the ones who are kind of setting visions and goals. So going back to Nikhil's example, you have Mahindra who's looking at, I want this kind of EV car. We have Tesla, we have Ola, we have this, that, but this is the vision that I have. And he is expressing that vision to a group of people. Those group of people will strategize, okay, how do we meet this vision? Is it practical or not? And that strategy will then go down to the next level of people to say, can we actually put it into operation? And that operational team, where your project managers, portfolio managers will come in, will then go back to the team, and you will have people who are going to kind of get this together, and that's where the Scrum will come in. So if you kind of get that entire architectural setting of an industry organization, whether it's construction, whether it's education, whether it's technology, whether it's coding, manufacturing, regardless, this kind of a hierarchy organizational structure is pretty much standard. Your strategy team and then the operational teams kind of work together. The strategy team will go down to the operational team and say, can we really even deliver? And then the operational team will say, great idea, but may not really be practical, or it'll take us 15 years to deliver. Is this viable? Is this not viable? All of those kind of questions will start coming in. So if you kind of have that kind of, an architectural understanding, then you'll know, what kind of plugs in where and in which portion of that. And that's how the responsibilities and teams. But it's not to say that just because you don't have a designation of a project manager, a Scrum Master is not important to the team. So there is a difference there. You may or may not have a particular designation, but that doesn't take away from the importance of that member in the entire scheme of things.
And I'll give you the best example of a Scrum Master. And I so agree with you. Like, don't take Scrum Master as a role that you don't need. It's a very important role. Have you guys all seen the boat race in Kerala? Anybody seen that? The videos?
yeah.
Yeah. There's a Scrum Master on that boat. Not a project manager, a Scrum Master. I'll tell you why. You've seen that person at the very back of the boat who's saying left, right, or hitting the drums. Have you noticed that? He's not rowing. He's not rowing at all. He's only keeping that whole team of people on the boat in sync, and that not one of those 15 people or 12 people on the boat is rowing backwards or rowing out of the sync. So, like, Dino already said, right? That coach, that mentor, that person who's unblocking things, who's constantly moving the team ahead with a vision that is kind of the same for the whole team. That's the Scrum Master. And I think the best analogies I can think of is that boat. You have that Scrum Master, but if you notice that Scrum Master is not hands-on, they're not rowing themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's literally what a Scrum Master is.
Sorry, Prerna, I cut you off. If you had another question, please go ahead.
My point was exactly what Dinu explained.
Sorry,
That
sorry, I
was
interrupted
that
you.
was what I wanted to ask, and luckily I got an answer to it. And yeah, I've understood that the only thing which I wanted to clarify or get cleared was, the fact that Scrum Master, the duration, like when do you actually differentiate between a Scrum and a project, which Nikhil has already cleared. It's a short duration and project goes for a longer period. And then probably someone who's above a project manager, who's a more strategic kind of person, the duration increases a little further. Even if the idea may not be practical, it's kind of like a vision sort of thing that they have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And normally, as you go project to program to portfolio, the time increases from a project to a program, time increases program to portfolio, the scope increases, and the cost increases. So like I said, so you may have a project which may be only 6 months, a program may be a multiple of projects. They don't all have to happen at the same time. You can say, I'm doing a project for this site today, this will end and I'll do this one. And then the program can go on for 1 year, 5 years, things, and the portfolio can be happening for a longer time. So they kind of go upwards. Cool. I'm glad that was a good discussion. I know we spent a lot of time, but I'm glad that it was a good topic, right? We got to really go dive deep into Scrum Master versus Program Manager. So yeah. We saw this in the slide, right? Project management phases. This is so PMI, who was doing the certification for the longest time, the certification that used to, I did my PMP back in 2007. It was all waterfall. But now when you go to the certification, it's a mix of waterfall and agile today, those questions on that certification. But when we talk about the waterfall things, initiation, right? We were talking about that. That's when you define a new project. You figure out what's the vision, what's the overall scope. That's usually these steps are happening in the initiation phase. Planning is you actually now start establishing the scope of the project. You get a project charter. I'll show you what a charter is. You get the timelines. Hey, this is going to need so much time, so much money. So all the planning that you need to do forefront to plan ahead is here. You just don't start a project and just kind of jump into it with 2 feet. You have to go through initiation and plan. Execution is, like I said, you're executing the work, which may be multiple layers and multiple layers. It's just not one little thing. The reason we have monitoring and controlling here, monitoring, like we said, is you're tracking, you're reviewing, you're doing testing, and controlling in the sense is how and what you learn from the monitoring, you're controlling it back to planning and execution. Oh, you know what, I messed up this. Okay, we're planning again, we're execution. So you kind of go into this little vicious cycle till, behold, you say that, you know what, formally close a project. Closing a project also is a big deal. Everywhere I've worked for, you just don't say, oh, you know what, I'm done, and you walked away. There's project closures, there's testing, sign off, learning documents, knowledge transfer, knowledge, KB articles. So there's so many things that you have to do to officially close a project. Have a meeting with the stakeholders, submit some reports, lessons learned. What did I learn from this entire project? So there's so many things that happens in closing. It's not just, oh, I'm done. Here you go. So there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scene. So we're going to go a little bit more into what is the project, what's the purpose of the project, what's the importance of scope and time. I know we've been talking about that. The key elements of project planning is, obviously we said, identify all the stakeholders. You want to do that upfront, identify who's going to do what, who are they, who's the customer, who's going to support me, who's going to do my finance, who's going to do my budget, all of that. You want to identify, and then you say, define the roles and responsibilities. This person is going to do this, I'm going to do this. So we called a RACI. A RACI matrix is something where you define roles and responsibilities of everybody who is touching the project. You build that as a RACI. RACCI is the RACI says you publish it. everybody who works with the project or works around the project should know that these are all the people who are supporting the project. Stakeholder is somebody who's you're delivering the project to, right? They have a stake in your project. They are the end consumer. And then you have the RACI. Kickoff meeting. You bring everybody together. You get the vision aligned. This is what we are out here to set. You define the project scope, budget, timeline, right? We've been talking about scope, budget, timeline, nonstop, the triangle. You prioritize the goals, right? You just don't go and then say, you know what? Hey, we're going to do these 100 things at once. No, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, and then this is how this will talk to this, and this is, all of that. Build the relationships between the different teams. And as a project manager or a program manager, you help educate people that, you know what, hey, Mr. Manager for this team or Scrum Master, you need to do this really well, because if you don't finish this, you cannot deliver. We can't move to the next phase. So you build the dependencies, define the deliverables that, hey, you know what, you have to deliver this, and your deliverable is dependent for somebody else to deliver something. So like we're going back to the car, right? Till the chassis is not there, where am I going to stick those wheels? Nowhere. Project schedule. Sorry. There's a lot of tools. I'll show you some of the tools that we use. They're actual tools. Microsoft Project, Azure DevOps, Jira. There's a lot of tools that you can plug and play. Again, do you want to go agile? Do you want to go hybrid? Do you want to go waterfall? Do you want to build Gantt charts? Do you want to do WBS, which is work breakdown structures? Again, all the tools are out there. It's how you want to plug and play it in this specific project, so that there's no cookie cutter solution that you just copy paste for every project. Every project gets dealt in a different way. Communicate the project plan. Communication is very important. You want to constantly keep the stakeholders, the people who are supporting the project, the business, anybody who's impacted from it, on constant updates. Hey, we're doing this. Hey, we have this risk. Hey, you just don't wait till the last day and just drop a little bomb on them, right? So you're constantly communicating how you go and how you progress. And if you have problems, you call them out. If you need help from leadership, you call it out that, hey, I need this help. I'm run out of money. Can you please help me? I'm waiting for a manufacturer or a vendor. There's so many, in this day and age, you have multiple companies supporting each other. Hey, you know what? I was supposed to get a part for this car. We need a chip. This chip is not being produced. What am I going to do? So, right. So there's a lot of internal factors as well as external factors that you have to think of when it comes to risks. So yeah, this is at a very high level. Some of the phases that you'll go through when you actually start to plan a project. You're only in the planning phase. What is project scope? Project scope is something that it's not this as a project manager, I go there and I write it down and like, this is the scope of the project. Everybody, your stakeholders, the customer, the people working on the project, all sign off. They all agree that, you know what, we are all going to work together and kind of figure stuff out and stuff like that. So everybody has to be aligned, agreed, and established that this is the scope of the project. So it cannot just be my point of view. What are the goals for what we're trying to deliver? What are the deliverables? This is exactly that has to be delivered. What are the tasks and activities that is going to lead up to the delivery of this project? Exclusions is very, very important, because we say that, you know what, you're going to get this car, which is the lower variant. It's not going to have a touchscreen. It's going to have a normal old radio. So you call it out very clearly that this product will have this, but this product is not going to have this. So tomorrow there's no surprises. Constraints, right? We spoke about it. Internal, external, what issues are you going to have? And acceptance criteria is very important in scope. That's basically saying, this is definition of ready. Definition of ready is, we all agreed that to start the project, this is the scope we all agreed it. Definition of done. Done is where we all come together and say, we envision to start the project here, and we said we'll deliver this, and these are the exclusions and constraints. And now towards the delivery and the end of the project, did we actually deliver all the goals of this project? So A meets Z, right? And everything between it is what we're looking at here. This is just a very basic charter. This is not from my company, but I just pulled it from online. A charter can be in thousands of, there's no defined charter. You build the charter as you want, but you want to make sure that a charter is something that this gets built when you build the scope, right? You advertise and communicate that I'm starting this new project. This is the charter of my project. This charter tells you the project. I'm the project manager. Who's sponsoring it? The CEO is sponsoring it. Who's that person who's behind this project from a business level? This is the start date. This is the end date. The business need is, like we said, Mahindra wants a car. The scope is, this is what the scope of the project is. The deliverables, like we said, this is what we're doing. These are the risks and issues that we may face or are facing. Assumptions, we always do assumptions and dependencies. Hey, these are the assumptions that we are taking as of today, that this may happen. Dependencies, I'm dependent on that vendor delivering me those chips. Financials, my budget is $3,000 or $1 million. Milestones is a very important word in project management. A milestone pretty much says that they're huge phases. If you talk about a car, hey, you know what? We have the chassis ready. That's a huge milestone. A chassis is one of the most important things for a car. The technology to go into the car is now all ready and tested. That's a huge milestone. Milestones are big goals. So you may have 10 big goals, and then within those 10 big goals, you may have another 100 sub goals. But when you hit that big milestone, you call it out. And I'm going to hit this milestone on this date. Now, if I didn't hit this milestone, the first one, the second one may get affected, and I may move the dates up and down. The project team basically calls out everybody who's touching the project, who are the people, this and that. Approval is basically at the end, it says, you know what? These are the people for the money. These are the people who are going to sign off on the project. And this is the stakeholders. Again, like I said, make this in whatever way you feel best describes your project. Don't ever do a project without the project charter. This advertises what you're going in to do. It tells everybody, gets everybody aligned to one vision. And then you can constantly keep updating this as you're delivering and calling out stuff. So charter is very, very important for any new project or program that you want to kick off. And again, like I said, you can do it in Excel. There's tools that you can use, ADO, vision boards, Kanban boards, whatever you want to do, that's up to you. But have a charter in some form. You can do some dumbed down versions, like we have in our company, just 4 boxes, like a SWOT analysis. You can do a very detailed one, but you don't want a 10-page one. A charter should be something that you can read off the back, 1 or 2 pages. Oh my God, I got the very high level and I'm in and out. A project plan is something which is very detailed. It could be 50 pages, 100 pages, can be however long, depending on your project. A project charter is a very high level vision board, which kind of calls out things at a very high level. I can read this in 5 minutes or 2 minutes and I can know everything at a high level. That's your charter. So don't make this, and that's why we don't put all the little things. It's only the very high level stuff here. So again, I want you to understand the difference between a project plan and a project chart.
Nikhil, should we put the participants into a breakout and get them to try out doing a project charter themselves?
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes. Megha, if we can split our participants maybe into 2 groups or 3 groups, I don't know, I'll leave that to you, and just get them to try their hand. We can give them maybe just 10 minutes in the breakout, and it doesn't matter if you don't get the whole of it, but just to kind of try it out, so that you get a feel of how to make a project charter. Because sorry, Nikhil, go ahead.
I had a question. I have so many more slides. I don't think I'm gonna hit all the slides today. Is that fine? We'll continue.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm not gonna hit all of them today. So okay. Cool.
So Megha, is that okay? Is that okay with all the participants here?
Yeah, so how many participants you feel will be good in one group?
So maybe just
know?
5 participants in a group, and create 3 teams or whatever teams. And Nikhil, do you want to kind of give everybody a topic, just a kind of a a project so that they can get their hands dirty on.
I'll think very techy. Why don't you give them? Because I'm like very complicated stuff.
No. Let's not give them anything.
Yeah, I think we can go with a car, making a
Yeah.
car. That was one that we've been talking about. Or
Correct.
one is in manufacturing. We can go one in software if they want, one in healthcare, whatever. We can mix it up.
Yeah, or one in construction. So maybe one topic can be build your dream house. You're a construction company.
Yeah.
Your Raheja developers, unfortunately, no connection with me. I missed it. But your Raheja developers and you're you're coming up with a project of villas in let's say Indore in India. And as project managers, you'll have to come up with your team. You'll have to come up with the project charter. That can be one topic. The other one is that your Mahindras and you're coming up with a rival EV car to rival Tesla, which is completely India based. And you're going to have a project charter based on that. And Nikhil, maybe you can help us with the healthcare industry topic.
Yeah, just come up with a, I don't know, come up with a new product to do check your blood pressure.
Yeah. Okay, and any team can pick up any one of the three and come up with a project charter.
Okay, so I'm setting 10 minutes time for the breakout room. Right, okay, that's done. So I hope everybody understood projects, and you can pick up any one from the three Dinu has explained. So if you have any question, please message and we'll just answer quickly. Okay, I've opened the rooms and you all can start joining now. Ronita and Aisha, you have to join your groups. I'll just stop recording, pause it for some time.
Yeah.
Siddharth, you will have to pause it. I think you started the recording.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah.
Just pause it and we'll read.
Okay, great. I think everyone is back, or almost everyone is back from the breakouts. And I hope that there were some engaging conversations that happened in the breakout rooms. Would anyone like to share, what they discussed and what of the project charter they were able to get together? One member from the team.
Yeah, Anuja or Ronita, can you just Anuja, can you just share what
Yeah.
they have captured? Yeah.
So we had basically taken up the project of building that EV car, and we listed out the deliverables, we listed out the schedule and what will be the risks. 1 minute, I'll just check if I can share it.
Yeah.
Just a second, please.
Sure.
So our business need was to build a competitive EV car with very low or almost negligible emissions. Project scope, we started off with design and then design under Make in India initiative. Then the cost also, it has to be optimum. Procurement, testing, manufacturing and testing. These were the basic project scope. schedule we split it into few months so that we give some time for designing, and then simultaneously procurement can happen as well as the manufacturing and testing. Risk involved were the design approvals, whatever funds were required, and also the emissions guarantee, whether we will be able to achieve it or not. Under deliverables, we have mentioned team planning, review meetings, and updating the testing, phase-wise feedback, that sort of thing. Dependency and assumptions, not everything is going to be in-house. So we will need to have some outsourcing done for some engineering, or maybe some, we will be dependent on some vendors for procurement of different items. So that is what we have all listed on under here.
Wonderful. I think you'll have done a fantastic job, given that it was only 10 minutes. Of course, given more time, you will keep adding to that, make it more detailed, maybe change your timelines around a little bit. There could be more risks that you could add to that, which one can foresee. Maybe the software, is going to pack up, so you need a little bit more time. There is risk of the software defaulting, or the design not being approved, or there are several others, not having enough chips, external, internal, what Nikhil was talking about. So, but great job done, Anuja, and your team, for given the time to kind of get those highlights in there. Maybe what would have been nice, if you had time, I'm sure you would have put in the milestones, target dates.
Yeah.
Just so that you'll know how that entire project is going to go. Well done. Thank you. Any other team, anybody else would like to share?
Yeah, of course. Good morning. Hello. We had taken this project of constructing villas in Indore, MP. So I'll share my screen. We have prepared an Excel where we had displayed how this entire thing can work out. We had identified the title, project manager, who will sponsor the project, start and end date. We have considered 2 years of time where we will execute this project, and then we had bring up the business needs, what we are going to do in this villas. We want to give eco-friendly, lavish, technology-based living facility with all the amenities, easily accessible. All features that we have tried to bring here. We had given the project scope. What is the scope? Like, we are going to identify BHKs in these villas, and then amenities. Deliverable will be within the timelines. We had tried to fix some budget also. And the risk, sorry, I did not change the title, but the risk where that seasonal changes that will be coming, outsourcing will impact, like we will have to subcontract a few things. The iteration, because construction depends upon the manpower, so the iteration rate of manpower, that is one of our risks. So these were a few things that we came up with.
Fantastic. Well done. I mean, this is amazing, just given the time and the fact that you all did not have sufficient time to go into detail, but I can see that you all are generally going in the right direction. Of course, there will be, some modifications, tweaks, revisions as you, discuss further, discuss more in detail, take up each aspect, more and more into detail, and kind of discuss that through, and then put the subpart. Nikhil, do you want to add anything to that? You're on mute, Nikhil.
I was going to say, I think we have an impressive bunch of people here, because I've seen we have hired new project managers, and it takes them almost a month to figure it out. So for you to figure it out so quickly is very, very impressive.
Fantastic. Well done. And once you get the project charter in place and as detailed, without making it lengthy, you don't want the project charter to be running into hundreds of pages, one or maximum two. But the more you can kind of discuss and define and put down, the easier becomes the planning, the easier becomes the execution. And it's for a reason it's called waterfall, because one process kind of intertwines into the next, and leads you into the next, and so on. So if you get the project charter right, that's where you put everything in. Everything about the project has gone into your charter. right from what are the steps, what are your big bucket goals, what are your timelines, this is the project, your stakeholders, who are your stakeholders. So in a glance, you have everything about the project right there. And once you've got that right, then your planning goes as per it. Your monitoring and controlling goes as per the planning, execution goes as per the planning, and then you kind of close. Of course, there will always be loops. That's undeniable. It's bound to happen, but it kind of just one area or one process will kind of lead you to the next, lead you to the next, and lead you to the next. All right, I see that I'm keeping an eye on the time. We have a little bit more time, and Nikhil has got lots to share with you. Any questions so far with the areas that have been covered? If we can just do a quick check and then we'll move on. Any questions on project charter? Any questions on any other aspect of initiation on project management?
Actually, we also had a charter made for an EV, but it was a little different to what Anuja and team had made. So,
Please share. Please share.
very quickly, Sherry, if you can please share it.
Yeah, we'll take it ahead. Prerna, I'm sharing my screen. You can take it ahead.
Yeah. So basically, our intention with Mahindra as a main picture was to create an economical EV to compete with Tesla, and our USP for that product would be that we would also have solar panels on it, so that it can be solar powered. So with the government pushing towards clean energy, clean fuels, so we wanted to make it economical. Now it would be make in India, so it would be cost effective, and we major risk that we saw was government giving subsidies for companies who are into sustainable and clean solutions. So if that subsidy doesn't work out, then probably economical can become an issue, and we will have to fix on the quality. We'll have to kind of cut corners in terms of the quality of the product that we're giving. Moreover, we'll have to a major risk that we see is we'll have to validate the vehicle on high temperatures, so above 50 degrees, whether it can sustain, the solar panels can sustain that kind of temperature, and even the engine can sustain that kind of temperature. So basis on that, so this is more of an external, that's the reason we wanted to show this a little away from what earlier Anuja had shared, which was more of we didn't think on the internal part of it because we assumed ki ho hi jayega, kind of, because it's Mahindra. But and one the timeline that we had thought of was 1 year would take in the complete manufacturing of it, but 1 year would be in the complete of the validation of it, so that once it goes to the market we don't have to pull it out because it's not working. So that was one way that we before we got to the budget, we lost our time. So that's the reason.
Fantastic. Nikhil, any thoughts on that? I think it's a different take.
Impressive. I mean, I think it's more than missing the things, it's the whole thought process. The thought process is what counts, and it's amazing.
Yes, and I think it's important to kind of think of it, from an outside perspective, but also, Prerna, I'm not sure that the internal planning hui jayega, is not something that is as simple. We think it's common sense, but that has to be really put down in detail. Sometimes
Probably we can have a tie-up with Anuja and team, and we can increase our project team and we can do it.
That's project management right there. You're already talking about how you're going to use another team to support you. So, yeah.
Exactly. Great job done, guys. And it's great that you've kind of got your mind, you're thinking in that direction, thinking in that line, which was what the purpose of the entire exercise was. It was not so much what you come out with, but just kind of setting you on that process of thinking of things differently, where you actually have to outline the entire understanding scope of the project that you're getting into before you actually plan and then get into the execution. And great job done. Okay, so let's move on. Nikhil, back to you to take us into the next phase.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So maybe I should have shown this slide to you before you made your charter, but so this is called impact mapping. So when you create the charter or when you start the project, these 4 questions are very, very important. Why are you doing what you're doing? Who are you doing this for? How are you going to do it? And what needs to be done? What needs to be represented? So if you always, this is for any project, anything, any impact you're trying to do, if you try to answer why, who, how, and what, and you can do like this impact mapping, or you can just write, if you just write why, who, how, what, and just kind of brainstorm, this is more like brainstorming. 9 out of 10 times your charters, your project plans all will end up well because you have that clarity of mind. And this is a good brainstorming thing to do with the other people in your team or whoever you're working with, is just trying to answer why, who, how, and what. We also use this for like SWOT analysis. When you do SWOT analysis, SWOT, it's a 4-square grid thing. Where you talk about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I've not put that today, but I'm not sure if anybody's ever done a SWOT analysis. That's something, that's another brainstorming session. You can use it for project management, where you say, what are the strengths of this team or this project? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities we'll have? What are the threats? Again, this is a different way. It's why, who, how, and what. These are good brainstorming and mapping tools that you could use for anything that you wish to. So yeah. Work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure is something that's been around for ages. It's basically a lot of in this day and age, when you go into the whole agile thing, a lot of people are not doing it. But when you're doing the whole waterfall thing, WBS is very, very important. It kind of breaks down the work into smaller, trackable instances. So you can track things at a very molecular level. Say, okay, like we said, right, building the chassis. Activity 1 is building the chassis. What are the 3 sub-levels below the activity? Is 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Okay, the front end of the chassis is 1.1, and that's going to have another subtask. And then you can keep doing this however long. There's no start and end. Like you can do this work breakdown structure however you want. It looks almost, to make you feel, help you relate to this, it looks like an organization chart, right? So imagine activity title on the top is the CEO. The 4 reds are the chief marketing officer, the chief operating officer, the chief technology officer. Then you have VPs, then you have directors, then you have managers, then you have senior manager. So that's another way to look at it. But again, is how do you break big tasks into smaller components that can be tracked, closed, moved around, and you get a very good view from top, bottom up across your entire project, is what this is. So obviously, if you have a program, you may have 1 WBS for every project, and you may have 10 WBS, which will lead up to one thing, or you may have a very high level one for the program and then multiple ones for the project. So like I said, again, it's how you feel you want to set it up. Again, project management is all about using the right tools to make sure that the project succeed, the team succeed, and you succeed, and you're able to deliver. So you have all these tools at your discretion. How you choose to use it is up to you. So yeah, this is called work breakdown structure. Just another way on how to clarify work.
Nikhil, I'll just very quickly chime in.
Yeah.
And just connect the project charter to the work breakdown structure. So if you remember, in the project charter, there is a segment that is called milestones and target dates. The milestones that you put down in the project charter is what you will put down in the red squares of the work breakdown structure. So that's how there is a continuity. It's not like you are doing the work over and over again. You made your project charter, you put down 4 or 5 or 3 or 8 milestones with their target dates with it. Those are the milestones that you're putting down in these red boxes, which are there on top. Then you break those milestones down into smaller activities. So if my first milestone is to get the design of my EV car, my target date is 2 months. Then within that design, what are my activities? If my milestone is to get approvals, validation from the government for the solar panels, which have to go on top of my EV car, that's my second milestone. What are the various activities that I require to put down within that milestone, so that it's like a goal that you set for yourself, but then there are tasks that you have to do to achieve that goal? Your work breakdown structure pretty much works like that.
Yeah, and you show different things to different people, right? A project charter is probably going to be very high level. You're going to show CEOs or directors or somebody who doesn't know much about your program. You're not going to open up a WBS with the CEO, right, and stuff. They want a very high level stuff, and like Dina rightfully said, those 4 are your milestones, and then you're just going to build on this, and this is to the very granular level where you can track different teams and different activities. So yeah, I agree with this is definitely, it's adding and to a more granular level from what you have in the charter. Sweet. Gantt charts, you have a lot of tools out there, which are SaaS tools. SaaS tools is nothing more that you can use on a website. Or you can also do this in Microsoft Project if you have Microsoft Project part of your Office suite. But then, like I said, there's multiple different tools, free and not free, that you can use. A Gantt chart is, again, it's almost like a WBS. But what happens is, say that I build up all my activities and I put the dates here, and these are my tasks, and I have my milestones. But what happens is these kind of move in an automated way by themselves. So if I had planned for my milestone to be delivered by, say, June 1st, and this moved over to, say, maybe July 1st, then I don't have to go and move these. Automatically, the relationship that was this one and this one would take 10 days. Everything else in relationship would start moving right. So if this gets impacted, this will get impacted. So this is basically what a Gantt chart does. It kind of shows you the workflow, shows you the dependencies, and also helps you understand the bottlenecks, that maybe if something happens here, it can impact all of these things downstream, or something happens here, it can affect things upstream. So this is more what a Gantt chart is. And again, it's building off the charter and the WBS. But again, this is very good for time management and how you connect time management to tasks that you are planned to deliver. So that's the relationship here. It's time versus activities. Yeah. Any questions there? I think next is a whole different chapter, time, scope, and everything else. Do we want to break here and continue? I have another 15, 18 slides going ahead from here, and then maybe have a closing argument or something. I didn't know how you wanted it.
I think that's a good idea, Nikhil, because once we start with time management,
Yeah.
scheduling of tasks, and then get into thereafter risks and things like that.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can take that on the June 5th session, so that it will then, there's continuity in the
Well, and I
content.
want to ask is everybody having fun? Are you liking it? Are you enjoying it? Hope we're not boring you guys, and I think the biggest thing would be is if you take even 5 or 10% of this and use it in your day-to-day, or if you get inspired to be a project manager down in your career, I think we've hit the the nail on the thing.
So I think this is a good time to kind of get questions, get thoughts, suggestions, or anything that you would want us to cover in part 2. We do have another workshop. If there's something that's like really burning and you feel that you want to have a little understanding of that, let us know so that we can include it when we come back on the 5th of June. Over to you all now.
I just had one doubt. Do we include exclusions in project charter? Because that wasn't there in the format.
You do include exclusions because you always, like I said, that's just something I pulled off from Google. You can always just do it. It's always important to tell the stakeholder that you're not going to get this. You want to be straight and blunt that you're going to get this, but then you also want to call out that you will not get this, and this. The worst thing about project management is people all have different assumptions of what you're doing. So the more stronger your charter, the less surprises and assumptions in the future. So yeah. And again, the charter is something that you can build. Every charter is going to look different. You build it for the project. That's the best way to put it. Yeah. And if you go to Google, there's a lot of just download project management charter templates. You'll get thousands and thousands of templates that you can just download and kind of plug and play. You don't even have to create it. You can find a suitable one for you to make your life easy. Yeah. And you should try it in your work. You'll impress people.
So we do make marketing charters for any campaign. So I never thought of it as a project charter. Like the term sounds better than a marketing charter. Actually.
Yeah, everything is a project. Everything is a project. Yeah, life is a project. Whoa.
Any other doubt, question, something that you would want addressed in the next workshop?
And
So
also,
we are.
anybody who wants to be a project manager in their career, feel free to hit up Dino and I on LinkedIn, and we will handhold you, give you that white glove service on what you can do. So I don't want, I think, and Dino would agree with me, I don't want it to be 2 sessions and we part ways. We're here to help you for the long run. So yeah.
Okay, so I hope did you all enjoy? Was it boring? Going back to Nikhil's question.
No, it was quite good and interrogative session. Like we heard, I may not be able to get back in terms of many things, but yes, I had a like understanding those Scrum Masters and understanding Agile, understanding that methodology is will really helpful to me because I, from the sector partner, I am currently doing a lot of hiring in that scope of product development and manager. So this come as a boon to me because this session helps me. I keep on reading and learning on Google, but that was more of, the words which like the examples and the comparison helps me better. So this is something I really good. And now I can talk much about this in terms of like what and all. When I'm evaluating people, I have little bit information, but not that in depth, the one which I got it over here. So looking forward to a great continuing session over time management and all, because that is something I think everyone is struggling with. And even after having a lot of planning, we do fall back on time management and keep on thinking where to do and where to plug in pull your socks up and to get going. So thank you for your time, both of you. And it's really interesting to have this kind of session. It's like, even I was looking at both of yours profile on LinkedIn, and then I realized I never interacted. Good to hear that we can keep in touch and then look forward to any more support in terms of making us better. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we look forward to meeting you all again on the 5th of June.